Boy, it sounds like it's a really, really bad time to be a corpse. In Colorado, they just keep getting putting in jail people who are in the funeral business. Every week or so, there's another story from Colorado. Does anyone here have a friend in the mortuary sciences?
A kid that I grew up with is.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say we're friends still. I haven't talked to him in a while, but I know he works at it.
Yeah, I have a friend back in Chicago who is a mortician and runs a funeral home, and I always thought that, boy, it's got to be a great business because it's recession-proof. People are always going to die, but they keep getting these. I don't know if it's also, like, easy to create a scam. I don't know what it is. You just take people's money and then don't do anything, or because they keep like raiding these funeral homes and finding corpses. And a guy in Colorado Springs, maybe, just got arrested because they found a 63-year-old woman's body in the hearse where it had been for a couple of years.
A couple of years.
Well, and I was like, how has he not had conversations with the family? Well, they explain that too. People are just handing out fake ashes. And so I don't quite understand. You know, all these funeral homes are like, well, we got behind on our crematorium bills or something. There was this guy and his wife who just took over, I think it was also in Colorado, just took over a funeral home a few years ago. And I don't know if they were just collecting money and living high on the hog or what, but like the whole back 40 of this place was bodies. And this guy at this other place where they found the woman's body in the hearse, they just found her covered in a blanket in the back of the hearse. And they found a bunch of urns in crawl spaces. So, you know, there are obviously dozens of families. They found about the cremated remains, or in the biz, cremains, of about 35 people at this guy's place. And maybe somebody in the mortuary sciences can tell me where the disconnect is here. Because, boy, it ain't cheap. Even if you are having somebody cremated, you know, we have my dad buried, and that ain't cheap at all, boy.
No.
I mean, even if you decide, my dad would want us to do this in the most frugal way possible, you're still in for 5 figures. So I don't know what's going on with these places where they're like, oh, we ran out of room. I don't know. Maybe it's still ripple effects from COVID.
No way. It's been 4 years.
Well, but funeral homes were getting overrun. I mean, these bodies, they say, have been there a couple years.
That's crazy.
The hoarded, cremated remains.
It smells so bad.
No, I think after a year or two, it's I don't know. Like
well, no, they got one
something.
guy. They got another guy. This was a dude in Denver. Then they got another guy in Penrose, Colorado. You know, because a lot of people are opening these places saying, oh, we'll do the natural burial. We've talked about this. It's a great idea on paper, but you got to know that a place is actually doing it instead of just throwing a body in the ground or doing something else. One of the guys who got pinched on this said that when the neighbors started complaining about the smell, he said that he had a taxidermy hobby, and that's why it smelled. And that kind of fended people off for a little while. But they're trying to, I don't know, maybe Colorado has really, really lax funeral laws or something. Maybe that's the place to go if you want to get in on the funeral home scam. I don't know. But about every week now, there's a story like this, and to a person, they're almost all in Colorado. The hoarded remains found at Apollo Funeral and Cremation Services in this Denver suburb are from between 2012 and 2021. The funeral home has been closed for over a year. And so obviously you catch all these charges. You get abuse of a corpse, and these people have to forge death certificates. They do the whole bit. And then I guess, I don't know, keep the money, get a cheap urn, and put, they did a deep dive in this one family. It was like, we just knew something was wrong. when we got the ashes back. This is a woman's husband that she had cremated with this place outside Denver in Colorado Springs. The families that had hired this particular funeral home paid about $2,000 for cremation services. And she's like, they said it would take about a week, but they kept pushing the date back and back and back. So they flew to Hawaii to scatter the ashes into the ocean once they got them. And I guess one of the people in the family was in the construction business or something, and they said, that looks like concrete. That doesn't look like human ash.
Oh, come on.
And so they did some tests on him or something, and she took the ashes to another funeral director, and they're like...
Are they banking on people just being like... Because I'm kind of like, if I found out my ashes of my dad weren't my dad, I mean, he's still dead either way.
Sue, but get some.
Well, a lot of
at
people
least
are
get
suing.
some money out of it.
Yeah, but if you've
But,
gotten...
like, what's the difference?
Right, but if you've gotten concrete... I take your point, but if you've gotten concrete, you don't know where your dad's ashes are.
No.
Where is your dad?
Who knows?
Well...
Is he in some sidewalk somewhere?
Again...
Did
That
they-
you'll never know. There's no way to find out.
Right.
So, like,
And sue
why even ask?
and also practically speaking, suing a funeral home that has been stacking bodies because they don't have any money, you're not really gonna
They
get
would have
anything from them.
insurance, wouldn't they? If the place burns down,
It
they,
does. Well, yeah. According
I
to
think
these
that
stories,
helps you in a lawsuit.
Well, if the place
Yeah.
burned down, they'd catch up on all their cremations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying,
One
like, you
fatal
don't know.
swoop.
You'll never know. Unless you were to, I don't even know if you can DNA test ashes.
Well, you can test because you do get bits of bone. They have like a grinder and things, but they do have, if they can extract from the inside of a bit of bone, they can get DNA or RNA or something in there. And she took it to another funeral home, and the guy goes, well, ashes are supposed to have variations. There'll be different colors. There'll be different sizes. It'll look like rocky sand as opposed to what people think it's very fine ashes. And this funeral director was like, it's not supposed to look like that. And so they determined that it was quickcrete mix. And so Colorado now is investigating this. Boy, Colorado's a wild place, right?
can't wait to go back, man.
It's such a wild place. Like, if you like the outdoors, it's awesome. If you like guns, it's awesome. It's so purple out there.
Like weed. Pretty good
Weed.
place for weed and mushrooms, right? They have mushrooms.
Yeah.
that are illegal now?
they've got all
They're
of it.
decriminalized. I
You-
don't know
Yeah.
that they're
You
recreational.
Put all those together, and you've got a wild situation going on out there. So in one of these places, they're trying to identify 18 individuals by just like a bag of ash. And this other guy was like, he just said, I owed a lot of money to different crematories. This is a funeral home, so they're not doing it there on site, I guess. And then he would just give people bags of ashes. And some of those were a concrete mix.
Morally, you don't feel guilty for that. Like
I don't care.
They
They don't
already
care. Once you get
Hey, the first one they do, but after you get to 18,
maybe
Yeah.
maybe that's what it's like being a murderer. Like if unless it was in
the
self-defense.
rush.
That's what I'm saying. Unless it was in self-defense and I murdered someone, like I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna be able to sleep right again. Like it would bother me. But maybe after you kill, you're a serial killer. You're like, it was after the first one, and
well,
I'm cool now.
keep in mind, they are not killing these people.
I know, but I'm just
It's
saying.
the abuse of a corpse. Other states, most states run annual inspections of funeral homes and require people to either pass a test or get a degree in mortuary science. Colorado has no such laws. So no wonder it's a great state to get into the funeral biz because it's pretty lax.
Get your money.
Yeah. So, yeah, to the point that your loved one is still dead. But there's a lot of obviously emotion that goes in with that too. If you fly to Hawaii from Georgia, as this woman did, because she went to Colorado, that's where her mom lived and died or whatever, went back to her home in Georgia. Her mom wanted to have her ashes spread into the ocean from Hawaii. They were of Hawaiian descent. And she flies to Hawaii. And Lebowski's the whole thing, probably gets a little bit in her hair. And they determined that it was not really ashes. So I would just say, if you are going to be cremating a loved one, I would say look at the funeral home director and say, are you going to do a good job? And then they'll go, yes, of course, we'll take care of everything. And then you just look at them. You don't break eye contact. You go, are you? And they go, yeah. And you look at them again. You do not break eye contact. Eyes like saucers, wide open. You go, and then you don't say anything. First you give them one, are you? And you keep looking at them. But then you don't break eye contact and you just keep looking at them. But then progressively squint your eyes more and more, like you're really giving them the maloik. And they might break. They go, fine, fine. Now, let's say everything else goes well. When they hand you the urn or the box or whatever you've opted for with the cremains, and you say, is this really my uncle? And they go, yes. You do the eye thing again. You go, is it? And they go, yes, of course. You've paid us a princely sum for these cremains. Is it? That's usually how you can, I think that's probably the best way to determine if somebody's on the up and up.
I mean, flawless.
That's
what they do at the police
station. Yeah, exactly. That's where they get it. Yup.
Are you telling the truth?
Did you murder this guy? No, I did not. Did you?
Everything checks out.
Yep. I mean, how many coerced confessions are there? You know, you flip that around. Did you murder this guy? Nope. 18 hours later, after they've been telling him they know he did it, they break the guy. So why not work that in your favor with a funeral home? I mean, God forfend, you've got a loved one in the last stages of whatever. Of course, neither Mary nor I have a father anymore.
Nope.
It'd be nice if we did. But your dad was cremated, yeah?
Yeah.
My dad was buried.
See, I spread his ashes when I was in Vegas in that the fountain show.
Is it legal to do that?
The Bellagio?
No, I probably honestly shouldn't even be telling you that, but that's what I did.
They're not going to get you
could,
now.
Yeah, I mean, prove it. There's no video.
I'm sure there's people spreading ashes in the Grand Canyon and stuff too. So
you're definitely not supposed to. But like, they gave us. We asked for we had smaller urns, so they gave us little Coke baggies full of my dad.
Yep.
And that was shoved into the tiny urn, so I had to dig my fingers in there and open it. So after I was done, I had ashes on my hand.
You had your.
Well, because then I'm like, well, now what? What? I can't rub it on my pants or go find a bathroom and wash it off. But it was yeah, I licked it. I put it on my gums. That's why I won that big jackpot for $5,000. But yeah, it is a very weird feeling to be like, oh, this is a dead person on my fingers right now. Or concrete. Weird. I don't know, but.
Yeah, that would be wild. Alan, my cousin, is in the funeral biz here in Cleveland, and he's loaded. Yeah, that's what I always thought. I didn't know where all these people were ending up oh, I can't pay my bills. How can you possibly not pay your bills? Growing up, my parents' church, there was one guy that did most of the funerals. He was Irish and Catholic, and everybody thought he was great. Had his ad on the back of the bulletin and all that kind of stuff. This guy was loaded. You got a steady pipeline of olds coming through the parish.
Now that I think about it, I have a friend that I went to school with that also her family owns a funeral home, and we have used, I don't know anyone who hasn't been, other than my white side. My grandmother, she had a Catholic funeral home, but everyone who has died in my family, they know my family. Oh, this is one of yours? Yep. It's for generations we've been buried by this funeral home. So
for generations.
Yes, my grandmother, my aunt, my great aunt, my cousin.
Wow. All stayed local.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's all in the same. It's the same funeral home.
Alan, I can't believe that people would try to keep that kind of money without earning it. That's what they did?
Pretty good.
U-R-N, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
You are normally.
I picked up on it.
Yeah.
I get it. Usually it's E-A-R-N.
Well, and somebody else reminded me of the old funeral home director joke, too, where he'd shake your hand with his first two fingers like he's feeling your pulse.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you're doing all right there. Okay. Injecting a little bit of levity into an otherwise gruesome situation. Mary's dad ended up in the filtering system of the Bellagio fountain.
Oh, well.
And
in the
maintenance
water
just
for a
through
little
those.
while.
Well, the Bellagio Water, though, they have their own. People are always pissed at the Bellagio because they have their own man-made lake that circulates that water. So it just goes. I don't think it's any part of the city water.
And that
And it's
water
also
has to be
not drinkable.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Think about all the drinks that have been dropped in there, their cell
Vomit.
phones. Yeah, the
Yeah.
people
Oh,
throwing up.
God.
I
People
swear,
peeing.
Vomit.
dude, when I had to reach my fingers into the urn to get my dad's ashes out, I was like, I might just throw this whole thing in there.
Right.
Honestly. But then I thought I was like, then they could just throw it away. They could find the urn and just throw it away, so he won't really be in there. But yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. Brian's parents have a house in Goodyear, Arizona, and there's a man-made lake in their like development, and there's signs everywhere. They're like, "Do not touch this water. Do not go near this water.
Yeah.
This is not clean water."
Yeah.
Like it's almost disturbing. We're like, "What did you do to it? Like, why is it so gross?" You know.
Well, it's like industrial water.
But what does that even mean?
It means it's not going through any kind of cleaning filtration process. You know, like
Where
when
did
you
it come from
but
to
it's-
be that gross?
But it's not also because we have natural wetlands here that do some sort of filtering. If you're going, the water's not meant like that in Arizona or Vegas because it's all man-made.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that you have to tell people not to drink that water is.
It's more like don't swim in it.
You
Don't
have
swim in
to
it, but
tell
yeah,
people
yeah.
everything
I know.
now.
But yeah, but not to swim in
Everything.
it either because it just is stagnant, or they have to put so many chemicals in it to keep it from getting really gross. So it's probably more chemical filled than anything else. That
Yeah. Hey,
they're
don't let
putting in there.
your skin will burn off if you touch
Mhm.
this
I
water.
wonder how much that lake cost them a year.
What do you mean?
I feel like the first year is when it costs the most, and then it's just sitting there.
They
Well,
have
there's
an,
maintenance
they
each
have an
year
eight
for it.
they have an 8.5 acre lake that holds 22 million gallons of water, and it basically just circulates back through in the thing. Wow. Well, I've got a break because I've got a natural wetland developing as we speak. So. If you want to send a text 35192, you can watch live at AlanCoxShow.com.
It's the Alan Cox Show on 100.7 WMMS. And everywhere you go on our free iHeartRadio app. We got stuff. You want stuff. Win stuff. This week at WMMS.com.
Win a pair of tickets to see Creed when WMMS